Good afternoon. This is number 9. Number 9. And I don't need these dark teacher glasses on. And I'm just going to throw this one in for good measure this afternoon. Very unplanned. But the other night I was watching on a program a beautiful interview with someone who's well known, and I'm just not going to say his name. Maybe I will have to put my glasses back on because I took a few notes, because this is going to be about staying positive. Because so many people today, especially I would say since COVID, and gosh, I don't even like to say the name, you don't know what they're going to do. But anyway, God bless America. Free at last. We're supposed to be free. That means freedom of speech. Since the time of all the shutdowns and people staying at home and everything that went with it, I don't need to review it. We all lived through it on the whole globe, and nothing like that has ever really happened the way it did. And I could spend a lot of different talks about that, but that's not what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the consequences of going through something where there's death and discouragement, disappointments, frustrations, hopelessness, and the recovery period. The person that was on the show talked about this very high percentage of hopelessness. He flies around the world. He owns things all over. Very successful person. And he was sharing with one of my favorite interviewers about how he's never seen it like this. And I do remember after 9/11 experiencing some of those shock and awe feelings with people, wondering, oh my goodness, did this really happen? How could this have happened? I think I sensed that same feeling back when John F. Kennedy and Bobby Kennedy and Dr. Martin Luther King were shot, boom, 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 back to back to back. It was a very freaked out feeling in society, in the culture. And I was told by my elders and parents and aunts and uncles that when they began to find out what Hitler was doing in the camps, it was that same horrible feeling. And I think on a smaller scale, it happens in a population like Lahaina. There were people that are trying to bring awareness. And that also is another topic, but not today. I want to share some ideas this man brought up. And that is that we have an opportunity to have more hope, more joy, more of a future, because he said when he talks to people, they will say to him, well, there's no hope. A lot of young people will say, I'm not going to get married. I'm not going to have children. What does the future hold in light of what's gone on? And they all have their different viewpoints based on, did they lose a family member? What state were they in? Because in the United States, if you were in a certain part of the country, it was a lot more difficult and tough. There was less freedom, more control, more domination. You know, I keep on reading in the Bible the word dominion. And in Genesis a few days ago, the Lord was talking to Adam and he said, "You shall have dominion over all of these animals and the plants and the fruit and the trees." And then I heard the same word reading Romans today, because it was talking about being a slave to sin and to habits that are destructive. So this fellow on the interview said, as his conferences were all getting shut down in California, then they go to another state and find out they were going to shut them down. He had to come up with solutions. So that's where we're at. All of us have an opportunity to come up with solutions or not. I remember my mother saying, "Don't be a dope and mope." Well, if you're going to take, for instance, some Christians, they say, well, the end is near. We're going to be raptured tomorrow, or maybe in the next year. This is the year. Or Y2K, I remember when that hit around 2000. And some people just stopped life. And what I'd like to share today is, don't stop. Don't lose your hope. Don't lose your enthusiasm. Take a look at your talents and your abilities and your dreams, and don't give up on it. Be aware, be alert of the time we're living in, because we are living in a time. He made a comment, resolve to discipline your disappointment. And a long time ago, I used to say, every disappointment is an appointment. It's an appointment for something exciting and new, an adventure into God's economy for you. Those are kind of my phrases. It's good to face the truth about what's going on. We don't want to be ostriches and stick our heads in the sand. We don't want to do that. We need to be fully aware and cognizant that there are things going on that want to have dominion and control. But even like the books I read about people in Auschwitz concentration camps, I'm not going to name all those books. You can look them up and read them or watch some videos on YouTube. People had choices in that horrible situation of the camps. They had a choice, and they had to make daily decisions. They didn't know if they were going to get called up to go over and take a shower, which was really a gas chamber. And by the way, those chambers were outside the camp, far enough away that people didn't know what was really up. So it's important to have clarity about, on this side, the reality of what's going on, not fool ourselves or be in denial or walk around the elephant in the living room or sweep it under the rug. However, look at every disappointment as an appointment, an opportunity, and then really spend some time in prayer with God and say, now, what is it I can do here? It's very important also because people are getting into these terrible bad habits. And it started with some during that time of 2020. Maybe they were gambling, or they were on video games all the time, just, zombied out. Maybe they start going to a psychic. I've talked to people that have done that. Went to the bars, started drinking again, ran around on their spouse. That's not clarity. They spent money they didn't have. They started using their credit cards. And there's a difference between consumption and owning. Use your money to own those things that you need. Be conservative. Don't consume. In another word, don't waste. Don't be wasteful. Not only of your money, but who you are. Your energy, your time, your creativity. Instead, get excited. Get a piece of paper out. Write a pro-con list. Write a list of those things you love and those things that turn you off. Start to frame up. Who am I? What can I do? I had a great mom that taught us about our abilities. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. Now, in spite of what happened, there's still progress. A lot of people say it's over for this country and they get real negative. Hey, you know what? This can be a time of renewal and revival and a wake-up call for people who have done a lot of dumb things and say, you know what? I'm not going to live that way anymore. I believe in commitment and marriage. I don't believe in going and getting stoned all day long or drinking or wasting my time. I want to get back to my abilities and my creativity, and I want to be a good example to my loved ones around me. Begin to celebrate, because that path of least resistance will never leave you proud. So today, have courage. Don't live in the negativity, fear, and anger over what went on. Do like a lot of people from my generation, the boomers and before, 40s and 50s. We were born and we were told by our moms and dads, get up, brush yourself off, stop crying, stop whining. Do something about it. Figure it out. So that's what I'm sharing today. Let's get positive, because you do have that answer. And if you get down on your knees and say, hey, Lord, pull me out of this funk and show me what I'm supposed to do. I want to be a part of the process of improving everything and of making a change that's really positive. And I'm going to have the right people around me. I'm not going to be around all that negative junk. And it's going to be a fresh start. Let's have a fresh start today.